G'day YouTube, how the heck are we doing? It is Foul Play here, back for another Pauper League. So continuing this list that's doing very well at the moment. Currently in the Pauper metagame, Burn is a very, very prominent deck. And we are very well positioned against that with Armadillo Cloak. To help us get there a little bit faster, we are running the Lotus Petal, allowing for a potential turn 2 Armadillo Cloak. Additionally, it can ramp you turn 1 with Lotus Petal, tapping for green, Utopia Sprawl on Forest, and then you can creature plus one of your 1 mana white auras, which is relatively strong in my opinion. Really, the list is mostly stock. We've got a whole bunch of main deck cartouche for any Diabolic Edict or Chainer's Edict interaction. Opponents may have main deck or sideboard. It's fallen off a little bit in popularity. It is still primarily Burn. At the moment it's primarily Burn that is the deck to beat. But still, it's just such a free aura to have in the spot. I don't think I'd leave home without it. I think maybe you could argue to reduce the copies down to 2 or 3 of, but I'm not really willing to do that just yet. All the usual antics of 2 Silhana Ledgewalkers and pretty much playsets of everything else, with the exception of 1 of Sentinel's Eyes. Alright, so with the sideboard, we've still got Scattershot, Archer, and Young Wolf in there as 4 ofs to help deal with the Fairies matchup and Edict matchups, respectively. Crimson Acolyte, as touched on before, is pretty good against Burn, and Standard Bearer and Flaring Pain, good against Core Gates. Decks with fog type effects, Standard Bearer being able to redirect the Basilisk Gate activation, and also it's pretty decent in the mirror should we come across it. Okay, so here we are for match number 1, versing a Raymond Wang. The signing hand looks decent. We can even get our white mana with Ash Barrens, and we have very good stats. We have our first strike, we have our trample, we have protection from Edict. It looks really good. Alright, so opponent plays Misvault Bridge, so it's likely that we are versing Dimir Control, would be my first assumption. Just in case they're running a main deck Chainer's Edict, we have no reason not to run out the cartouche here. Actually, I guess an argument is this deck goes big into Gurmog Angler. If we brick on auras for several turns, we don't get our power above 5 power, we could have issues attacking, so maybe it was correct to place Silhana Ledgewalker there first. As it is, seat into Ichor Wellspring, we brick finding Bogle. Alright, so we'll go ahead, Rancor. Opponent's tapped out, so I'll cheat this Ledgewalker in the first main instead of the second. Attack for 5, keep the pressure on that life total. Alright, so Silver Bluff Bridge, in case there is access to Karkland Shaman, I'm not going to extend any more creatures on the board. We do have a fine Armadillo Cloak, so that's going to be a pretty strong one, give us lots of power, no counterspell from the opponent. Opponent Deadly Dispute on the Ichor Wellspring. Drawing some cards, Treasure Token. Alright, and that's going to be a good attack for us, attacking in for 8. So we gain 6 life, opponent on 5 to our 26, 1 turn to turn this around. They have Karkland Shaman in hand, they can certainly do that. They play out the Blood Fountain, getting a token. Star, I guess Cycle Star for red, Mirror Enforcer. Alright, stuff's coming down. It's frustrating because now we don't have quite enough damage to attack through. Well, if we attack with everything, opponent will double block on the Bogle. We'll get 2 damage through the side and kill 1 Mirror Enforcer. It's not amazing, but then we're to be able to put Rancor back on Silhana Ledgewalker and attack for lethal next turn. So that's our best line. Alright, so opponent goes to 3 life. We lose our main guy. I think I'll extend 1 more hexproof creature on the board in case there's Galvanic Blast for the warrior token plus Chainer's Edict. Alright, so end step, opponent going for 2 mana. Reknar's Bargain on the Mirror Enforcer, so they're really digging deep here. Looking for that Shaman. Thoughtcast for 1 mana, drawing 2 cards. 8 in hand for the opponent. Vault of Whispers comes down. Taps. And there's another Eclaw Wellspring. So they get a free cycle on the Chromatic Star. They don't take it. Just looks like a lethal attack to me. Oh, they've gained a bunch of life, actually, through the Reknar's Bargain, I believe. Yeah, so they gained 7 life through Reknar's Bargain. Opponent sacks the Chromatic Star, floating blue. So it looks like they're digging for Counterspell here. Maybe it was already in hand. Deadly Dispute on Eclaw Wellspring. Alright, so we'll keep Scout in hand. We'll attack for 7. Put our opponent back to 3 again. Opponent, Galvanic Blast on the Warrior token. I mean, that's not too bad. Put him to 4. 5, 4, yeah. Don't mind me. Okay, so opponent, 9 cards in hand now. Alright, they can still find it. They can still blow up the board. They can return these Mirror Enforcers with the Blood Fountain. Main deck, most of these decks run 1 Cart Clan Shaman. It's just about him cycling through and finding it in time. And opponent concedes the match. So I think we had a little bit lucky there, but we also low rolled. Like, we drew, what, 2 auras in 5 turns. It's a little bit of a low roll on the amount of auras, but I mean, we high rolled with what our opponent did anyway. Okay, so this is a affinity list similar to what our opponent could be running. This particular one is running 2 main deck Cart Clan Shamans. Main deck Chainer's Edict as a one-of, Metallic Rebuke as interaction and Suffocating Fumes, Makeshift Munitions as a win condition, and sideboard you have to worry about Arms of Hater, Suffocating Fumes, and more Chainer's Edicts. Alright, so Young Wolf comes in. Also, if you have flying, it is a really good way to completely mitigate Cart Clan Shaman. Doesn't deal damage to creatures with flying. Additionally, if you have Free Wind Falcon, you could bring that in here as a creature that they can't really interact with. To play around Shaman a little bit, we can bring in Crimson Acolyte as well. Boards out would be Ledgewalker, Ancestral Mask because it's slow, and possibly just a Lotus Petal. Alright. I could just go for 2 Crimson Acolytes there as well. Alright, well, this is a mulligan. Opponent also mulling to 6, so at least that is even Steven in that department. We see this hand, it's pretty decent. We're going to go ahead and keep. I think we ditch the Abundant Growth here. Get into the match. Opponent starting things slow with just Spire Bluff Bridge. I'm going to play Young Wolf out here. Just because it gets a free attack through Chainer's Edict this turn. If I play Bogle, it can get Chainer's Edict, and then we don't get any attacks whatsoever. Opponent, Eclaw Wellspring. So we find Forest, which is nice. I'm going to start off by basic land cycling. We'll get Plains. I think we'll play our Forest, though. We can either play Bogle here or Rancor. I don't mind Rancor. I don't think we lose too much tempo from it. The next turn, we probably want to play our Acolyte and just ignore this Bogle for a while. Alright, so opponent just, doing the odd pass back to us thing. We'll attack. I guess they could have Reknar's Bargain, Deadly Dispute at instant speed. Play out the Acolyte. I think a Bogle would be a slight overextension here. I think we'll leave it in hand just in case they do have the Shaman. Alright, opponent, in response to Acolyte, sacking the Eclaw Wellspring. Yes, double Chainer's Edict could be annoying, but that would take up 4 mana for them. They also now don't have 2. I guess they have a black through the treasure token there. Alright, so this is a nifty interaction for the opponent. They get to make an indestructible land, have 3/3 flying. So double Chainers would mean that I could just sack my Young Wolf twice because it's sorcery speed. So this is like a really annoying interaction our opponent has access to. It's also a colorless creature, which they're probably aware of. I think we just attack with both creatures. Wait, we can't attack with Acolyte because indestructible. I think we suicide the Young Wolf. Then we can reset the Rancor across. We can attack with Acolyte in future turns. It's not really the... I have just put this on the wrong creature. I'm a complete and utter idiot. Okay, don't mind me. Alright, we need to wake up. Wake up. Alright, that was very, very silly on my part. Opponent 3/4 mana. Tapping this guy. Alright, so opponent wipes the board. I mean, we are well and truly deserving of that. We could have had our Crimson Acolyte if we weren't a complete idiot. We planned out the right move and then just executed it wrong. Alright, so replay Crimson Acolyte. I think we just throw down Rancor here. Alright, opponent casting Thoughtcast. Back to 7 cards in hand. Tapping out. Chromatic Star comes down. Alright, if they continue to do all this like little extra stuff, hopefully we draw an Ethereal Armor and we can start attacking, although we did just throw one to the graveyard like a nincompoop. Blood Fountain enters. Oh, this is awkward. Alright, second Acolyte. We definitely don't win these attrition battles anyway, not when they can chain through an extra 3 or 4 draws a turn than what we can. Alright, Gearseeker Serpent as well. So this is sort of a hybrid between Dimir and Affinity. Opponent sacks the Artificier with the Reckoner's Bargain, going back up to 17. 5 cards in hand now. Blood Fountain in the graveyard. You're going to be able to bring it back and buff it new land in the future. Acolyte looking pretty crummy without any access to flying here. Alright, I'm going to concede to save time. Alright, so post board. I mean, I think having like a mask top end to draw to is probably not too bad. I'll -1 Acolyte and we'll submit this, get into it. Could bring in Lotus Petal. I kind of feel like we want some high value auras though. Ancestral Mask is very hard for them to shaman through too. Alright, we are on the play. This hand is pretty decent. The main weakness to this hand is we don't have a reoccurring source of white mana, which could be quite irritating. Alright, we'll start it off. Bogle. We'll leave Lotus in hand. We could get 1 extra point by playing out Cartouche. I don't think we want to go for that though. Just in case we draw something else that Lotus is good with. We do not. Alright. So here I'm going to make the decision to Ethereal Armor, I believe. It's just the higher uptick aura. If we draw a green aura next turn, it's guaranteed to buff our toughness. Opponent takes a turn off playing Wellspring, so we have a chance to apply a lot of pressure here. Deck says, I guess it could be worse than that. We'll basic land cycle. At least we develop our mana here. We can play our Cartouche. We get a 4/4. Really good Edict protection. Alright, opponent on 13 life. Plays their land, second main. Taps out for Thoughtcast. Blood Fountain. Gets the blood token. 1 mana up still. So they're going to discard a card, draw a card with the blood token. Yes. All right, we find Abundant Growth, so that's a pretty reasonable find. We'll just go ahead and cycle that one. Buffing our Ethereal Armor on the Bogle. Find another Bogle. All right, well, just to speed up the clock by playing the Bogle. We attack for 7, put our opponent to 6. I guess if he plays exactly a chump blocker, we could get 3 damage wide. It's weak to 4 mana, Arms of Hater into Chainer's Edict the turn after those, so I think it just stays in hand. Alright, opponent bridge in tapped. Taps, Deadly Dispute. Alright, perfect. This is exactly what we want to see. They can generate a big chump blocker here through the blue fatty or the Gurmag. We will see. They've got access to color on the treasure token as well. Alright, so blue, Gear Seeker comes on down. That is a 5/6, awkward for our Bogle. Just that 1 point of toughness is very, very relevant here. Opponent discards end step. Okay. Well, that's a sad one. Could attack to get 1 damage through. I guess not. Alright, opponent plays out the Chromatic Star. We need to find some action here. We need our opponent to not be too interactive with us. They're still developing their card advantage. Deadly Dispute coming down. Treasure token hitting the battlefield. Opponent still at 6. And that is another fatty. Gurmag Angler joining the party. And I mean, that's pretty terrifying. Alright, little help deck. Come on, deck. What the hell is this? It's pretty disappointing. Our only aura we've drawn in 5 draw steps was Abundant Growth. And realistically, that was 6 cards we've seen, and we've seen 1 enchantment. Alright, opponent casts out Thoughtcast. Continuing the party with... Alright, Makeshift Munitions. Well, that is a win condition, but I'm not sure it's a win condition against us here. Finally, we have found an enchantment, Cartouche of Solidarity. There's no second thought. That is getting cast. It's going to make our creature 7 power and toughness here. Opponent, Metallic Rebuke. Counterspell. That is backbreaking. Come on, man. You haven't shown a single counterspell in the first 2 games, and then... after turns of bricking, we finally find a card, and it's just there to ruin our party. Alright, opponent, another Icklor Wellspring. Continuing the fun stuff. And Rekna's Bargain, so gaining 2 life, drawing 3 cards. Now 8 in hand. Mirror Enforcer. Alright, this battlefield's getting scarier and scarier. Alright, Artificier, making the bridge an indestructible flyer. So perfect draw here would be Armadillo Cloak, while the opponent cannot stop us from casting it. Ethereal Armor. So this Ethereal Armor will add 4 power and toughness to a warrior token, making it a 5/5. That is not quite enough to get past Gearseeker Serpent. Alright, we'll lay down on our Bogle. Attack in. I think we can attack here. 6, 4. So if we deal lethal damage to Gearseeker and Mirror Enforcer, we get cracked back with 8, 9 power. So we can only just do this. Opponent can use the Artificier just as a chump block and continue to hold their fatty board. Or, you know, just that as a chump block. That makes a lot of sense as well. Maybe that was a weird attack from me. Don't mind me. Living on a dream, apparently. Alright, opponent not done here. End step. Makeshift Munitions. Sacking a creature. So they're going to be able to return that with the Blood Fountain. They're going to be able to make a second indestructible land. An annoyance. So, Chromatic Star comes down. Rechner's Bargain on the Chromatic Star for just some sweet, sweet value. Going up to 9 life. There is another fatty Mirror Enforcer. Oh my god, this is just disgusting, man. Well, I think we all know when the game goes long like this, we're at a very unlikely to beat what our opponent is doing. So, draws a card with Blood Token. I would think our opponent would priority the Blood Fountain, so they've currently got access to 7 mana. I guess they're 1 mana off of Artificiering and having the second land on tap. Alright, opponent not wasting any time though, getting in. I guess we cash in a chump block with the Young Wolf. Not much better to do after that blunder attacking in the previous turn. We go all the way down to 11. We sort of allowed that with a pretty silly attack, and Crimson Acolyte is just... I mean, maybe our opponent doesn't know. We can't play like our opponent doesn't know, right? Alright, let's... I don't think we win this game if our opponent plays correctly. So we'll assume he thinks that this land is red. We all know that the land is colorless, and we'll hope he blocks with the Mirror Enforcer. Alright, opponent knows the game well enough. Noting our opponent holding up Counterspell Magic that turn as well. If we can resolve an Armadillo Cloak, the life swing on that would be incredible. It'd be making our creature 14 power, and we'd be getting that back on an attack trigger. Arms of Hader plus Diabolic Edict, Chainer's Edict. Or I guess they just attack for lethal, well and truly. Never mind. So suiciding the Young Wolf to the block didn't really make a difference. I guess attacking... We did 2 attacks we didn't need to. We could be on 10 more life than what we are, but it wouldn't be enough. On top, just more garbage still. So that was a bit of an unfortunate one. We did not play perfectly in the second game, though, with that Rancor. So we do deserve to be punished from that. It's a shame we couldn't take the result, but hope you enjoyed the content anyway, guys. As always, if you enjoyed it, you want to see more like it, be sure to consider subscribing to the channel. Till next time, guys, have a great day.